It was cold and already dark when we parked the car full of boxes in our new house. An issue with the moving company made us arrive late and with the last lot of our things. But it didn't matter. It was our new house, finally. The former owner, a very decrepit old man, gave us only one condition. We were to move only after the new year. However, we thought that was a pretty strange condition, and we just imagined it was some sort of local superstition to start the new year with the right food. But even then, we couldn't wait any longer and decided to move just after signing the purchase papers. New Year's Eve was still 2 days away, and we wanted to spend them together in our new home. The house was old and a bit shabby, but for the price, we didn't care. Emma loved it. She fell in love with the house as soon as she saw it. It was from the start of the century, with 2 floors, white windows, and stone walls. A huge door guarded the entrance. It was made of solid oak and had a golden inscription that said 12 plus 1. We thought that was an ingenious way of naming the number 13, which, is the number for bad luck. When we entered, a gust of cold air engulfed us from top to bottom. It smelled like dust and dampness, but there was another smell filling the lounge, a metallic smell. We decided to light a few candles and settle in the living room. Between our boxes and an old rug, we improvised a bed. It had been a long day and we needed to rest. I was jolted awake when I felt a cold hand touching my cheek. I looked at Emma and she was still sleeping peacefully. That was very weird, but I stopped thinking about it and just went back to sleep. The next day, the house felt even colder and the sunlight wasn't enough to warm up the house. We started to clean around and unpack our boxes. Then we decided to go upstairs to keep exploring the house. And when we got to the entrance, we were petrified. Before us was a majestic set of stairs in the center of the lounge, flanked by strange paintings with images of virgins. The first ones were smiling, and as we went up, their expressions kept changing. First, they looked sad, then they were crying, and finally, they had an expression of pure horror. It wasn't until we got upstairs that we found ourselves face to face with a huge empty frame that occupied the entire wall, just where the stairs branched off. It was pretty big, and we thought it must have held a painting the previous owner took with him. We kept inspecting, and among worn-down tapestry and a dresser filled with dust and spider webs, we found a small silver necklace with a small crystal flask. It had dark, reddish spots inside, as if it had contained some sort of dust or clay. Emma loved it, and despite my reluctance, she decided to wear it. Who knew where that little flask came from? Or worse, what it contained? Nightfall came, and we decided to put on our best clothes to welcome the new year. I was using a purple velvet tuxedo that I stole from a theater, and Emma was using a beautiful gala dress. And that damn necklace. I was starting to feel uncomfortable. That thing really made me uneasy. She just laughed and mocked me for it, but I was still unsettled. 10 minutes before the chimes, someone rang the doorbell. How weird. Who could be at this hour? I opened the door, and it was... Emma? Suddenly, a scream behind me made me freeze in place. I turned around to see where it came from, and in that moment, I felt a stab on my back and I fell to the floor. What had just happened? Dragging myself, I tried to go up the stairs while calling Emma, but nobody responded. In its place, the paintings flanking the stairs were whispering. One by one, the images started coming out of the paintings, carrying daggers they would then stab me with. One dagger went into me per chime. Blood was spurting out of my wounds and the pain was unbearable. With my last breath, I looked up and I froze in fear. Emma was standing before me with her eyes widened out and crying blood. The small flask, now filled with a reddish liquid, was now glowing, and her dress was no longer white. I screamed her name, but she didn't respond. Instead, she started to laugh. She laughed so hard that her jaw dislocated and blood started to pour out of it. The stairs were now painted in blood, and I lost consciousness. The next morning, I woke up at the hospital. Dazed, I asked where Emma was and what had happened. To my surprise, I was handcuffed to the bed, and a detective wouldn't stop asking me why I had killed her. I didn't understand what was going on. It was all so confusing. Me? Killing someone? The detective then showed me a very grotesque photo. In it, Emma was laying on the stairs, surrounded by a huge puddle of blood and with her throat slit. The flask was in the photo, and it was empty. However, what really left me without words was the huge frame on the stairs. That gaze, that smile. I just couldn't believe it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode.